Paula Leece.
You don't see me cry too much except for when like they want to take a quarter away or something. But this is a very touching one for me. Then and now, I started about 6 years ago. And, you know, to say it's hard for you people, it is. You know, it's not a joke. It is when you start. You know, and we all have our things. When I started, the first day I started, I was sick. But the area manager wanted to go out and train me, and I wanted to learn the business. It sounded like a good idea. And I would walk into a nail salon, and we had this pact going in and say, listen, if I can't handle the fumes, I'm going to have to walk out, because I would just start gagging because I had almost bronchitis. And we went out the whole day. Bless his heart, the nicest man you'll ever meet in your life. But he was new to the business, and he really didn't learn the business, and he didn't know the 3 paragraphs yet. And we went out the whole day, walked in the place, and said, hi, we're doing this Martin's receipt tape thing starting in January. Would you like to be part of it? It's really good. And they said, no. Oh, okay. We spent the whole day doing that. Never seen one presentation. And at the end, the last place we went into, somebody a long time ago had written and actually paid part of this next cycle, which was this cycle. He walked in, he says, listen, you have to pay like $60 to pay it off, but you can be on the receipt tape. You know, this is the final part of your obligation. And he said, okay, he wrote out the check. He goes, can I ask you a favor? And he said, yeah. He goes, you know, I have this new girl named Paula here, and she needs to see a presentation. Can I have her, you know, can I show you the presentation so she can see it? And he said, yeah, sounds good. So he did a 2-minute presentation, basically just reading what was on the page. And we got out in the car, and he says, okay, now you've seen a presentation, so tomorrow you're going to start selling on your own. Okay? And to top it off, he said, what street would you like to start with? You know, on this area. And I picked the street. He handed me 2 pieces of receipt tape, 16 ads, and that was my supply of samples. And I went out there, and when he would start to present, they would roll it around their finger, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, they're messing up my sample really bad doing that one. And I almost screamed with the guy. It was a girl, guy, I can't remember, but she picked up a cup, and there was a ring of coffee, and he almost laid my receipt tape, if you can imagine, in the coffee ring. No, let me just take that. Because this is what I had to work with, and it was a whole different store, a whole different time program, you know. My issues, I had huge money issues, which I'll explain later. Huge. I had a car that sucked, okay? And I had family obligations. I had a son that I picked up in the morning, you know, brought him to school, and then in the afternoon I had to pick him up to take him home. And that was my life back then, you know? With personal obstacles, and you have a lot of them when you start, at least most people do. With personal obstacles, what happens is when you have that, my car's not working, so I can't do this job. It either squashes you down or you rise to the occasion. And you know who makes that decision? You. And I was committed to making this work. And I know, 6 years later, I know that there's people that think, Paula, she's just a machine. She probably got the easiest stores. They were the best stores. I got all the tips. Oh man, in her hometown she got these stores. And, you know, I'm sure it was just easy for her. No, it wasn't. I had to build these from scratch. Every store, I did. I just gave myself no other option but to succeed. Okay? My first renewal on the store was my 5th store that I did. And I don't remember any after that. But the 5th store I did, there was an ad on there, and I had asked him what this thing was. Okay, just so you know. So that is just part of working it. Get a call from my brother-in-law. I used to do about 7 or 8 stores. The first time I talked to Kevin, 5th store. Okay, it's the first time I ever talked to him. About 7th or 8th store, I get a call from my brother-in-law who's in advertising. He said, hey, he goes, Paula, I just want to tell you, I think you're working with some people that are a little shady. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, I'm working with a company who's doing advertising in the Martin stores. They're just going to be doing it. He didn't say shady, that wasn't the exact word. But he said, they're not going to have these stores. I would not waste another day of my life working with these guys. I said, I'm just telling you. You know, I had to make a decision. I called Kevin. I said, what's going on? You better be straight right now. I really did. And he said, you know, we are on probation. The gentleman that was doing them died, was a great guy. Never got to personally meet him, obviously. But I've heard really good things about him. But they, you know, we're on probation now. And I had to make the decision. Was I going to be the solution? Or was I going to put, you know, that in the negative excuses why I should do that store? It's a bad store. And I committed to getting them done. You know, I wasn't the first one here. Jim Casatino was. He was the leader of starting all this. You know, but I didn't know when we built the stores. So I worked on, and because we worked it and we didn't hesitate, we kept the stores. Derek was the regional vice president at the time, phenomenal person. He sat me down one day and goes, I'm going to tell you something. I said, yeah? He said, I tried to build those stores. I couldn't. I could get one person going and then the others would drop. And you know, Mark was the only one on in the past that could do anything with them, and he didn't do them all, you know. But now, what do we have? We have a great store chain. Everyone loves my stores. We built them right. We built them on 4 cycles. We built them at high dollar amounts. We put enough tape in the stores. We put in, you know, 5, then we upped it to 8, and then we upped some stores to past 1,000 rolls. If you're delivering 100 rolls of tape to a store, it's a challenge. They're not getting enough tape, okay? And it's going to hurt your customer base there because they're not going to see the value, okay? I made this company my solution. My solution. I had a big little problem. It was not easy. My car sucked. Not bad, sucked, okay? The transmission was going, and one day it was like 98 degrees out, and I was working. My air stopped working. But I'm like, it's okay, got windows, got to make money. Making money is what solves all this, and I really believe that. So I don't have an excuse that takes me out of the workforce. If anything, any excuse I have just makes me go out faster. And that's the thing that you have to understand. So I was out there working away, and you know, it was 98 degrees out, and my air was gone. But I had my windows, so I would actually roll them down, and when I would get to the place, I didn't want anything stolen, I'd roll them up. And all of a sudden, my driver's window stopped rolling up and down. I'm like, well, I still got my passengers. 98 degrees. Same day, I kid you not, it broke. Okay? It was so hot, I was in like this tin can. And I was going down the road, and I kid you not, I'd stop at a stoplight, I'd open up the door, and it felt like air conditioning. 98 degrees outside. I can't imagine what it was, 104, 105 in the car. You know, I was so sweaty, I kid you not, my underwear were wet. And I'd walk into places, and I would walk in there, and I'd be like, you know, I need some of that. And you know what, I will tell you, if you're sweaty from head to toe, you can sell ass, because I did, okay? And I put money in my bank account that would eventually get me a car and would take that excuse away, you know? A little later, one time I was driving down the road, and I called my husband, my sweet guy, and I said, well, we don't have to worry about that transmission anymore. And he said, really? And I said, yeah, the engine just went. And so he came out, and he came out, and we were like, he came out, and our talk all the way home was, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I didn't have another car, and I surely didn't have money to buy one, okay? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he goes, well, you know we have the old truck. We had this old truck with a hole in the gas tank, I kid you not. And it had a muffler that went like this 3 blocks away. Boom, 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 boom. And I had an appointment that day, and I said, you know what, I'm driving it. And I went to my appointment, and it was for a real estate agent, and the real estate agent was out in the lobby, and I kid you not, when I pulled in, I seen her go like that. And I got out with a smile on my face, knew I had to make it white. You know, she's not the bearer of my problems, you know. And I just said, you know, my car broke down. I have to drive my husband's junky truck. I did say, and who knows what I'm driving tomorrow? I don't have any money. I went in. She goes, well, let's go in. Went into the conference room, wrote, I think it was $4,800 in deal. She paid it right then. Because I didn't use that excuse, that put like $1,500 in my pocket that year. So I'm going to get a better car eventually. You know, talk about areas. You know, I built the South Bend area. I put those ads on there. I made it what it is at the beginning. I have tons of help now, thanks to Quillen and Gary and that. But we did that. I built that. And you know what? I deserve that. But you know what? The opportunity wasn't there. There was a nice gentleman that did it, and he hired me, and that was his opportunity. And you don't take away people's opportunities here. You know? Okay, fine, I'll do Chicago. I live close. No, that's somebody else's opportunity. You know, that was somebody else's. You don't take away other opportunities. Where did my opportunity come? I said to Kevin, Kevin, give me 100 stores anywhere, and I'm going to move there. But I need some opportunity to grow. You know, it wasn't a question if I could do it. So he gave me Evansville, Indiana, 6 hours away. 12-hour trip every week. Okay? This was my opportunity. You know what? Don't look down at those opportunities, because the person that takes those opportunities are the ones that are going to get the next opportunity and the bigger opportunity. Thank you, Kevin. It was a market that was totally trashed. There was contracts that were. I remember one customer. I was calling the office. They said, "No, this is what we agreed to," and I said, "That's what's out of corporate court." Pulled the contract and pulled it. Finally said, "Come back tomorrow." He was kind of upset. He shows me this contract, signed exactly like you said. I call up and I'm like, I have, oh boy. I'm making 18 minutes. Is that okay, Kevin? Is that okay or not? Okay. All right. So, anyways, so he said to me, he said, anyway, so I went in the next day, and he had this contract. I called the office, come to find out it wasn't somebody that would be hired today, but it was somebody that was in our company, and there was like a whole bunch of contracts that weren't even signed in there. He might have got confused, we don't know. But it was a mess, and I had to build that to be better, okay? But I did. I went from there. Oh, and incidentally, that car was what did I drive? I got a free car from my nephew. The only question I asked is if he could make it to Kentucky. I wasn't sure if I would get back. And I had to ask, we need devil stickers on it. And I said to Gary, and you have to understand my background. I didn't start, I'm not a $20,000 a year girl. I had a job that paid me $93,000 in the past. But there's a story behind that. Anyway, so I got this car. I drove it down there. My son took off the Tasmanian devil stickers. And I went and I showed it. I said, listen, you can make $100,000 too. And I would flip out my book of business so that they could see that I was for real. Because they sure were to see my car. Went up to Rockford, and the next day I was given whole other area, Rockford, Illinois. Why? It needed somebody, and I said yes. Then he said, Paula, I'm going to give you Chicago, I'm going to give you South Bend when the time opens up. Went up there, showed this guy the business, and I'm making it quicker, but on his first day training, I had him call my husband to hook the wires back together so I have heat. Okay? After hired, they makes $100,000. Could you hook these wires with this tape together? Beautiful situation, really did happen. Worst snowstorm in 80 years in Rockford. Went home in a blizzard with no heat. Okay? I'm going to make this really quick because you guys have to hear this. A lot of you guys are like, wait a minute. I know she makes good money. Why was she having so many financial struggles? To make it a short version, I've shared it many times, is that we had some investment property that went bad and we owed $126,000. We lost 4 houses. And after that, we lost $126,000. And but at that time, my 7th month here, I was making $6,500. But I needed a lot of money to pay off that. Roger gave us a 10% challenge. He said, save 10% of your income. I went out, I remember I thought my husband thought I was going to be nuts. I said, could we save 10%? He said, we'll try it. We might only save 7, but let's try it. I made a goal to pay off $126,000 in 5 years. This is the time. Okay? I can tell you, I didn't make it. I did not make it. On the 4th year, I was doing really well. And I need to share this because I don't believe in secrets. I just got stopped by a cop earlier this year, and the cop said, "Is this car in your husband's name?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, his license is suspended. What? Oh. And I call my husband. I go, "Why is your license suspended?" He says, "I don't have a clue." We call up. Apparently, in our really hard times, somehow our insurance lapsed. We had no clue of this. And we had a judgment for $12,000 on us. All right, my last bonus went to pay off a judgment. Beautiful way to spend it, right? Then about 2 months ago, Roger sends me a letter. "Gotta read this." I'm like, he said, "I want you to see this." And so it comes up another judgment. One of the houses that foreclosed, they were suing us for the difference, $17,000. Okay, we paid that out this month. So it wasn't 126, it was really 150 some odd thousand that we owed. Where am I sitting right now? $7,000 away from being totally debt free except for my house. You take these lessons, and the beautiful thing is, it taught me I can pay off my house. That 126 isn't my house, okay? That's all that debt on credit cards. And I know in 5 years I'll have my house paid off now. This opportunity here, you can use to be your problem solver. Okay, first you have to dream it, then you have to really believe you can do it, and then you got to do it. And when you do that, you can make this day, this company, this year, your payday. Have a great day.